الهيئة العامة للسياحة والآثار، ملتقى السفر والاستثمار السياحي.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me? No? Can I not use this?
No.
Shall I take this off?
This camera. Yes, this camera. This.
You want me to use that? Okay.
لو حبيت.
Good evening. Yes, that's good. Try again. I can use this if necessary. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my task tonight to talk to you about this one. Okay. It's my task this evening to talk to you about building your business around the customer. And I want to start with a very simple statement. It's that the satisfied customer is your best form of promotion. Every bit of consumer research that I have seen undertaken over the last 30 years says the same thing, that the strongest influence on generating new business for a destination or for a business is the satisfaction of customers who then make a repeat visit or they make recommendations to friends, relatives and colleagues. But there's also the advantage that the satisfied customer will stay longer, and also the satisfied customer will buy additional products and services. I will illustrate that later on in my presentation. Here is some recent research which demonstrates my point. This is a survey that was undertaken last year for Google, and you can find it at thinkwithgoogle.com. And what this shows is, in this slide, two things. Firstly, the importance of online sources, but within this context, the importance of recommendations from family, friends, or colleagues. This slide is about the inspiration for people to visit a destination. And it's showing that friends, family, colleagues influence 56% of the people. They influence them offline, and then in addition, 32% are influenced online. So allowing for overlap between those two, family, friends and colleagues influence about 62% of decisions on choice of destination. So that's about the inspiration to choose a particular destination or a particular business. When it comes to travel planning and booking, you get a similar picture. So this slide is showing you on the left-hand side leisure travelers, on the right-hand side business travelers. In the case of leisure travelers, if you look down at the bottom, on the left-hand side, you can see family, friends, and colleagues influence 52% of the people in terms of the planning of their activities and the purchase of products. On the business side, family, friends, and colleagues, more colleagues in this case, influence 41% of the decisions. So the critical factor then is, how do you satisfy the customer? And again, that is, at its most simplest, a matter of providing the right product at the right price in the right place. And you can also add at the right time. But also it's about turning products into experiences. And that is something I'll come back to later, because there is a key factor that translates coming to a destination, staying in a hotel, going to activities, turns those into memorable experiences. And I will give you a good example of that towards the end of my presentation. Closely related to that is the question of giving personal attention and making the customer feel really special. In order to understand what the right product is for the customer, you need to know the customer. And there are various ways in which you can access the information about the customer. Firstly, you can use the national data from MUS within the SCTA. From them, you can find out about trends and growth opportunities. You can find out about the high yield segments, the market segments that will spend a lot, but that also fit with your current or your potential offer. And you can find about the channels which are going to be most effective in reaching your market and in selling to your market. So that's a first strategic element of knowing your customer. But then there's a question of what you can do yourselves as individual businesses. And you can capture information about the nationality of your customers, where they live, their date of birth, and therefore their age, their length of stay, and the sorts of things that they are buying when they're staying with you. So I'm making this comment essentially in the context of accommodation establishments which record information about their visitors. So this is information that is available to you automatically. But then in addition to that, talk to your customers. Really get to understand why they came to the area. How did they find out about your business? And why did they choose to come to you rather than go to some of your competitors? And what are the activities that they're undertaking while they're staying with you? How satisfied are they? Or the other side of that, how dissatisfied are they? What are the areas for improvement? And then it's always worthwhile carrying out a follow-up survey. You can do it as an online survey, or you can phone people up and ask them. You will get better answers, you will get more substantial response if you phone people up and ask them. And again, ask them about their satisfaction, their level of satisfaction and areas for improvement. The critical factors are, will they come back again? And will they recommend your business to their friends, relatives and colleagues? Those are the absolute critical factors. Will they come back? Will they recommend you to others? And if the answer to that is no, you really need to understand why not. And then there's a lot of data that you can access online. from the use of your website. How long did people stay on your website? Which were the pages on your website that they visited? And so on. And then another critical factor these days is finding out what people are saying about you on social media. So look at TripAdvisor. Just read the reviews. This is the best possible form of market research to understand what people are saying about you online. There are also tools that allow you to analyze all of the comments about your business automatically on a continuing basis and to classify them into positive and negative. And then on your own website, you can carry out user surveys, which ask people about their reactions to your website and also to your destination if they have visited. I'm going to move on now to talking about the customer journey. So we've understood something about the customer, but it is critical that you recognize that there are different stages, decision-making stages that the customer goes through. And typically we talk about dreaming, planning, booking, the visit itself, and then after the visit, the recollection and the sharing of information with friends, relatives, and colleagues. Now, traditionally, we position this as a circle. So you go through that process, and when you get to the end of the process, you start to think about your next trip. But you can also think of it in a linear fashion, and this diagram is quite a useful one. I'm not going to go through the detail, but it's something that will be available to you afterwards. And this shows you for each of the stages in the customer journey, the ways in which you can influence people. And one of the factors that you need to think about is that in the past, people went through the circle I talked about, and at the end of the circle, they would share their information with friends and relatives and colleagues. Now that sharing process is happening right through the customer journey. So even at the early stages, when people are researching your destination or researching for hotels, they will share that information with other people. And certainly when they're in the destination, more and more people are sharing information at that stage. So you need to understand these different stages of the customer journey. You need to be communicating with customers at each stage. And you need to be ensuring that they pass on good information to their friends, relatives, and colleagues. I'm now going to take you to a case study of Vietnam. And this case study relates to a visit that I paid to Vietnam in February last year during the Vietnamese New Year. And I'm going to take you through my customer journey and how one hotel responded extremely well at the different stages in the process. And I think it's an example that hoteliers would do well to copy wherever they are. So, I had decided with my partner that we were going to go to Vietnam. We knew it's a very interesting country with a very interesting and varied history. So we had made the decision to start in Saigon in the south and to travel right up through Vietnam to the north. It's a long, thin country, about 1,500 kilometers from Saigon in the south to Hanoi in the north. And my case study relates to the last part of the journey, which was in Hanoi. When I wanted to select a hotel, I did, as I always do, I went to booking.com, which is the largest accommodation booking agency in the world. Why did I go to Booking.com? I went for 3 reasons. One is because it is very simple to use. I can make my booking on Booking.com in 45 seconds. The second reason I go to Booking.com is because it has the best selection of accommodation of any of those agencies. And the third reason, I've just forgotten, it'll come back in a second. But I go to Booking.com, and my process is one where I select a price category, and then I list the establishments according to the score of the user reviews. And that's what I did for Hanoi. So I selected a price category which was up to about $100, something like $50 to $100. And this was the screen that I got back. And one of the things that's in two particular things about this, you will see a lot of very high scores. A lot of establishments, mainly small establishments, scoring more than 9 on Booking.com. Now this is exceptionally high. If I look at Riyadh and I do a similar search on a similar price category, there is not one establishment over 9. If I up the price category to take it up to about $150 or $160, then there is one establishment that appears with a score of over 9. So Hanoi, for some reason, is performing extremely well. So that's a good strategic question to ask. Why is it that Hanoi is performing so well? The second interesting thing about this slide is that there are 3 hotels in the same group, the Elegance group. So we've got the Elegance Emerald Hotel, the Elegance Diamond Hotel, and then the one below it, the Elite Hotel, is also in the Elegance group. And they're all scoring about the same. So there's got to be some genius behind this that's achieving that level of score throughout their hotels. I chose the Elite Hotel, which is a small hotel. It's 2 stars, and it scores, as you can see, very well against all of the factors. The main reason why it wasn't scoring even more highly is because it doesn't have a lift, and because the bedrooms are quite small, because it's an old building and they're working within the constraints of the old building. For me, this was ideal. And so I made my booking. One night at $55. Not a big business for the Elite Hotel. However, this was just the start of the relationship. 2 days after I had made my booking with Booking.com, I received an email from the Elite Hotel. Now, I make a lot of bookings in different parts of the world, and I can tell you that no more than 1 in 20 of the hotels that I book through Booking.com writes to me in advance of their visit. Only 1 in 20. It may even be less. It's very, very rare. I could probably say that over the last 5 years that I've been looking at Booking.com, no more than 5 hotels have written to me in advance. Now, you can't read the detail of the message, but I can summarize what it was saying. Firstly, it was confirming the reservation. Now, to me, that doesn't really matter, because I know that if I've made the booking through Booking.com, the reservation will be there. But not everybody travels as much as I do, so a confirmation from the hotel that they've got the reservation is a positive thing. After the confirmation and the welcome, they're offering me a number of different services: an airport transfer, an offer of a letter to help me to get my visa on arrival, a cruise to Halong Bay, which is one of the major attractions outside Hanoi. It's about 100 kilometers away from Hanoi. And also a more general offer of assistance in arranging travel in Vietnam. Now, I had arranged my whole trip. I had organized all of my travel, so I thought I won't be needing that. The other things I thought about very carefully, and I decided to buy because the offers were very good. So here we had good customer relations, practical information, and promotion of add-on services. And this is what I bought: an airport transfer, a letter for visa on arrival, a cruise for 2 to Halong Bay, value $320, 6 times the value of the original booking. So, perfect, everything going well. But then, 1 month before I was due to travel, I received a message from the Vietnam Railway Company telling me that all train bookings were cancelled over the New Year holiday. Effectively, it was going to destroy the whole of my holiday, which was built around train journeys. They said the only way you can book a ticket is to come to the station when you arrive. So we'd be leaving it to chance. So we thought about cancelling the trip. And then we thought, well, we'll just find out if anybody can help us. Now, the hotel in Hanoi said they would help us with our travel arrangements. Let's see what they can do for us. And yes, the Hanoi Elite Hotel came to our rescue. I wrote to them, and this was the message I got back. It was very sympathetic to the problem that we had. And they said, we will rebook your train for you. But they could only rebook the first one because the second one, it was not clear at that stage whether it was going to be running. So they said, we will monitor the second train and we will let you know if it's running. As it happens, it didn't run. And so we had to fly instead, that last part of the journey. So there we were with that hotel. We had exceptional helpfulness. We know they spent a lot of time trying to solve our problem, and they paid a lot of attention to detail. The next thing was, my son and his fiancée decided to come to Hanoi at the same time that I was there with my partner. So we said, well, you must come and stay at the Hanoi Elite Hotel and come on the cruise. The result, $300 more income to the hotel. And then the experience when we arrived. This is the frontage of the Hanoi Elite Hotel. It's a modest hotel on a narrow road. And here we are in the front of house. And there's the reception desk. And the man behind the reception desk is Mr. Tang. Mr. Tang is my hero. Mr. Tang saved our holiday by booking the train tickets for us. He did it himself. But you don't stand at the reception desk and have your room details taken, your personal details. You're taken over to the comfortable seating. You sit down. Everybody goes there and you're given a drink and you're given a hot towel. And then the receptionist comes to you and the receptionist talks to you about your visit and finds out all about it. How long are you in Vietnam? Where are you going? What are you going to do in Hanoi? How can we help you? And so the whole tenor of that discussion was about the nature of our whole experience. And while we were sitting there, our luggage was taken to our room. It went up to the room before we got there. One of the things I hate is when you leave your case down in the lobby and it comes 15 minutes later and you sit in the room waiting for it. Our luggage was in the room when we arrived there. And here's the room. It's nothing exceptional. This is a $55 hotel, but it's very nice. Everything was there, everything was in the right place, everything worked extremely well. And the food, the breakfast, they had a menu, but if you don't like what's on the menu, we will cook you anything you want. And they did, and it was perfect. The food was just delicious. So we were having a good time, but then I had another problem. My laptop would not start, and as somebody who gets round about 60 to 80 emails every day that I have to attend to, that was a disaster. My son, who was with me at the time, he's a computer scientist. He said he didn't think there was anything that could be done. So I turned to Mr. Tang, and I said, Mr. Tang, do you think it's possible you could help me? Leave your computer with me, and by the time you get back this afternoon, we will investigate it. When I got back, my computer was working perfectly. And so on to Halong Bay. As I say, it's about 100 kilometers away from Hanoi. It's a beautiful place. You see the top photo. The top photo is taken in the summer. We were there in the winter, so the bottom photo is when we were there. It was grey, there was a lot of damp, sometimes raining, but it didn't matter. Now this is where turning a product into an experience comes to the fore. On our cruise, we did Tai Chi early in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, we were up for Tai Chi. We went canoeing. We went and explored some magnificent caves. We had a cooking demonstration on the boat. We saw the chef making sculptures out of vegetables and fruit. So this was all a very special experience. Some of our group went swimming. So this was really a quite exceptional experience despite the weather. So we had a great trip and we went away very happy. But that's not the end of the story. What happened after the trip? Well, even before we had left Vietnam, we had a message from Mr. Tang thanking us for using his hotel, asking us to help other travelers and the hotel by posting reviews. And he gave us the link to TripAdvisor where we could post the review. He hoped that they would see us again. And a nice touch at the end of the message, he sent special greetings to my son and his fiancée, because he knew that they were on a 3-month trip around Asia, Eastern Asia, and so he had learned that and remembered that. So the relationship we had developed was a very special one. This is my letter to Mr. Tang and his colleagues. Many thanks for your kind message. Eleanor, Alistair, Leela and I want to thank you most sincerely for making our stay in Hanoi so enjoyable. Everything was perfect. And I think that you are the friendliest, most helpful, most efficient hotel staff that I have met anywhere in the world. And I meant it. You give wonderful service and you should be very proud of yourselves. Tang, I particularly appreciate your help in organising our visa letter, our train journey, our cruise, and the repair to my computer. Many, many thanks. We enjoyed Hanoi so much that we will visit again soon and be sure to come and stay at your hotel. I shall certainly place very positive reviews on booking.com and TripAdvisor. And here's a review. To say that the staff and the service was amazing is an understatement. They were unbelievably helpful, friendly and kind, not only on the big obvious things, but down to the details. Such an amazing experience staying at the Hanoi Elite Hotel. When we are back in Hanoi, we will stay there again. And on top of that, we will refer all of our friends to the hotel. I've traveled all over the world and have never had such an experience as this. So this is a 2-star hotel charging $55, delivering outstanding experience. And this was not actually my review. My review had disappeared from booking.com when I looked for it 2 days ago because it was 15 months ago. And there's a whole series of other reviews saying much the same thing, that this is the most helpful, most efficient hotel anywhere in the world, truly special. I've traveled all over the world and never had an experience like this, and so on. Now the interesting thing is, as I say, this is a small hotel, $55, and none of it was rocket science. It was just attention to detail, getting to know the customer, delivering what the customer wanted. So it's a lesson that everyone can learn. And these are the reviews on TripAdvisor. Again, really exceptional ratings. So is that the end of the story? There's one more episode. My birthday, 8th of December last year, a message from the Hanoi Elite Hotel. Birthday wishes to Mr. Roger Carter from Hanoi Elite Hotel with love. Thank you so much for choosing our hotel during your recent stay in Hanoi. How are you today? On the occasion of your birthday, wishing you all the best in the year to come. May your days be filled with sunshine and beautiful colors, and may your nights be filled with comforting dreams and wishes to come. A birthday is just the first day of another 365-day journey around the sun. Happy birthday. Isn't that brilliantly poetic? I think it's wonderful. So there we have it. It's an almost classic example of customer relationship management before, during and after the visit. And you're welcome to have my presentation to be able to see the letters as things which perhaps you could emulate, a really practical example of the way to do it. Now I said almost perfect example, and I would actually give them, for customer relationship management and marketing, I would give them maybe 96%, the same rating they got on booking.com. And what is it that wasn't perfect? Well, they didn't actually come in finally to sell me something extra. I mean, from the customer perspective, it's lovely. From their perspective, I think they could just have added another paragraph on that letter saying, please keep in touch. We've always got something new to offer, and we will be pleased to make you special offers. Or indeed, they could send the special offers to actually get me to convert to another visit. Because otherwise, people can think very well of you, but the memory fades and you move on to somewhere else. Oh, and by the way, how much did the Elite Hotel charge for organizing my train tickets and mending my laptop? Have a guess. You've guessed it already. They charged me nothing for those add-on services. But they received a total of $750 worth of business instead of the original booking of $55. So they got a great return for delivering a great service. So ladies and gentlemen, I commend you to visit Hanoi. It's an amazing, chaotic city, a French colonial city which is remarkably intact. It's a great experience, but when you go there, go to the Hanoi Elite Hotel. So I'm now telling another 60 people to go to the Hanoi Elite Hotel. More recommendations, and you will have a good time for sure. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention, and I'm delighted now to have a conversation with you to find out whether there's more that we can discuss in this whole area of looking after your customer. So thank you very much indeed. So are there any comments or questions? If anybody wants to discuss anything with me, they're very welcome to come and talk to me now. I shall be here for until 10 o'clock, until the end of the next presentation. Okay, so, I've got a question here. How far is Vietnam from here? Well, it will take you by plane, it'll take you about, I would say 10 hours by plane. And you would be able to fly from Riyadh, I would think, via Istanbul. I suspect, I'm not sure whether you could fly directly from Riyadh to Hanoi or to Saigon. You might be able to fly directly to Saigon. It's a fascinating country because, you know, its history, so many people have a very negative image of Vietnam from obviously the Vietnam War period. They've turned that to advantage because there's lots of hugely interesting stories about how the Viet Cong operated. So in the south you can see the ways in which the Viet Cong fought the war. There's fascinating underground tunnels near to Saigon that you can go and you can experience going through the tunnels. You can see all of the weapons that they used. Up in Hanoi, you can see one of the prisons where the prisoners stayed. But there's so much more to Vietnam than that. So that's part of the story, but there's a rich heritage and they tell the story of the heritage extremely well. So it's a very good destination. But you know, the interesting thing is, and in a sense like parts of Saudi Arabia, a relatively new destination. It's been a tourism destination effectively for about the last 10 to 15 years, so they are learning. But what you often get when you have a new destination is that people are learning how to do things in the best possible way, and so there's a quantum leap, and so they move ahead of some of the established destinations. There's a concept called the destination decay curve, and it applies to businesses as well. You go through a period of innovation and investment, and you build up your clientele, and so you can have a graph that goes up like that. But then there's the danger when you get to the top there that you can come down the other side if you don't continue to innovate, if you don't continue to invest. And that's partly about looking at what the competition is doing. And Vietnam is absolutely on the curve up. They've learnt very fast from other destinations and they're doing extremely well. But in 10 years' time, will they carry on going up or will they become complacent? So complacency is really the enemy. You always need to innovate. I remember listening to a lecture once when somebody said, if it's not broken, break it. Which is an odd sort of thing to say, but there's another saying, and that is that necessity is the mother of invention. There are times when things are difficult, when you really have to think, how are we going to succeed? Who else is doing things very well? And in a sense, I'm saying that's something where, even although Vietnam is a new destination, there are things that you can learn. You can learn things from many other destinations. It's always the same. We can always learn something new. And the key thing is to say, well, which other destinations or which other businesses are attracting the sort of customers that I want to get to my destination or to my business? And then you look at what they're doing. So who's really successful in attracting the sort of people that you want to attract? And then you emulate them. There's no shame in learning from others. Look at who's succeeding and take their example. Perhaps just on this concept of the decay curve. I come from Edinburgh in Scotland in the UK. In 1990, Edinburgh had a big tourism strategy and went through a program of investment, developing a new convention centre, developing major new attractions, a new theatre, and so on. And Edinburgh succeeded, and the volume of tourism in Edinburgh has gone up every year since then. 4 years ago, the people who are responsible for tourism in Edinburgh said, well, we've done very well. We've been through a program of development for the last 20 years, but we don't know what we're going to do in the next 20 years. So they'd stopped looking ahead. And so then the question was, we really now need to take stock and look ahead for the next 20 years and decide what we need to do to innovate for the next 20 years so that we don't go over the top and down, but we carry on going upwards. So it's a long answer to your question, but I hope that was interesting. Any other comments or questions? One here. I'm going to come down here. Whoops. So much noise. So the question was really a very good one, that the hotel I use as my illustration was just a 2-star hotel, and yet they were getting such positive reviews. And the key point about this is that you've basically got two elements. You've got the hard facilities and services, and then you've got the quality of service that is delivered by the people. And this is where the elite hotel and the others in that group are succeeding, because they're going for the quality of service, the quality of attention. So that attention started before the trip and carried on right through until my birthday last year. But when we were there, all the staff, every single member of the staff, clearly recognized the importance of the customer, and they would greet you. As soon as we came in the door of the hotel, we were greeted by name. They knew who we were before we came in the door. Now that was because we had come in their car from the airport. The driver had kept the hotel in touch with where we were, and so they knew that we were coming through the door. So as soon as I came through the door, hello, Dr. Roger. Hello, Miss Elena. And so, that's a good start to the relationship. And then, as I say, we were given a drink. We were given a hot towel. That doesn't happen in many hotels. It happens in a few other hotels, but not every hotel. And so consistently, everything that was happening, the restaurant, the service in the restaurant, the willingness to basically provide whatever we wanted for breakfast. Now, these were all things which were very special and which were orientated towards the customer. So really, the difference was in the quality of the service more than the facilities. There's a term that we use when we're looking at what businesses or destinations provide, and that's what we call the hygienics. And the hygienics are the things that every place must do. There are certain things that you have to have, but the hygienics are not the things that make the difference. So you've got to have that minimum level, but then you succeed by going above that in the quality of the service you're offering. And that's what the Elite Hotel did so well. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
الهيئة العامة للسياحة والآثار. ملتقى السفر والاستثمار السياحي.